holidays.
Mm-hmm. Mother will be so pleased.
A mother. Arcadius, I need you to be online. I need to Skype. Oh,
She
it is
can't help
dark.
it. She misses me.
Yeah, that's what moms do, right? They care
Yep.
for their children.
They just miss you constantly. Lovingly.
I'm taking these apples. There's a steak in that there furnace. Okay. Do you know if we're good on levels or anything?
I do not currently have a stream up because my laptop is not near me anywhere. I actually do not know where I put it.
I forgot how to break blocks apart. Okay, found it. Every time I come back to Minecraft, I just feel dumb.
Because you forgot how to do the simple things?
Yeah, I just forget how to do.
Ah, yes.
I want some of those.
Okay, I'm talking
I
right
want
now
some
so I
of
can
those.
hear myself on the stream. Everyone, hush. The important star of the show is speaking so she can hear herself on the stream. Okay, there. All right, that sounds great. That sounds great.
Okay, cool.
Oh, loud.
Oh. Ah. All right, there we go.
They just wanted to, you to hear yourself, the most important person on the stream.
I did not say man. I said person.
We know what you meant.
Didn't I say person?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I did not say I'm the most important person man on the stream. I said I'm the most important person on the stream.
Full stop in statement.
Period.
Oh, goodness.
I'm sorry. I'm in a good mood, guys.
No, that's good. We're gonna have a
Better be
good
in a bad
podcast.
mood.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, and just I'm gonna throw some of this shit in here. So, you guys, the last time we recorded one of these was the 30th of September. Welcome to episode 31 of the show.
Oh my gosh, we broke it. We broke the 3-0.
It's been a Titanic reference, distance and time, and all of that. Oh, I forgot how to do everything. I'm Scorch, and Arcadia Zero is here, and so is Vast Empires, the obviously most important person in all of gaming history.
Well, I didn't say it. I just thought.
But I did, and my word is law.
Yes.
It's been a very long time since we've done this, but we're gonna try and keep it to a relatively nice section of topics. We're gonna cover Anthem and Fallout 76 because we need to hit Fallout 76, and some various other things like some updates to Beyond Good and Evil 2, why Vast hasn't played Starlink yet, what's going on with Monster Hunter World, that kind of stuff. So, do we want to go ahead and get the fury out of the way with Fallout 76? Because I want to hear some venom out of Arcadius from this.
Let's hit Fallout 76.
Yeah, you know Venom.
Okay.
This is your thing, man.
By the way,
You've got
just going to watch it.
What, Venom?
It's enjoyable.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
That is something else we could probably talk about. I heard that it is like a 90s heroes action flick set in today's time period, and that was a lot of fun. So
that probably fits pretty accurately.
Kind of. I mean, if you like two dudes romping around in like some poorly animated CGI silver gum for 30 minutes, then yeah, you're really gonna like Venom.
Always a critic.
Did you guys see the rom-com-esque trailer that they did for the season?
No.
The season?
Oh, for the holiday season, I should say. It's
No.
amazing. If we had if I had known we were going to have to talk about this, I would have sent this trailer to you guys ages ago. But it was hysterical, and I really enjoyed it.
Well, I will have to hit that up afterwards for sure.
I feel like we've already digressed. It's been 30 seconds, and we're off
Well,
on
I had a
something
really
else.
good I had a really good segue. I was going to say, speaking of something that I enjoyed hysterically, but in a not so good way,
Oh.
Fallout 76
Yes.
launched a couple weeks ago, and we
Launched is more like an encouraging way to say it. It's more like it was stratospherically dropped like a bomb, like a bunker buster.
I was gonna say that it just oozed like out of the bottom of a dumpster, but that
No,
works
because
too.
it had some pop, it had some flair, so it bunker busted,
like
and then when
a
it
tiny
hit,
cherry
it
bomb.
really busted. It's like one of those bombs that has multi-stages of explosions.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Well,
it's like one of those.
It's, needless to say, been a colossal failure and huge PR blunder for Bethesda, a company whom I really enjoy.
Mhm.
Failure might not be the right word since they still technically made money off of it, but in terms of the PR,
yeah.
you're absolutely
Just
right.
like Venom!
Ginormous.
Anyway.
See, even though we've been gone, the segues are still there, guys. We're still on and popping.
Even though we referenced the digression earlier, we're still here. We're still good.
Yep.
So how do we want to tackle Fallout 76? So we start from the
Let's go
beginning. Should it be
chronologically. That seems like the
chronologically?
most-
Okay.
Yes, we've already at the launch. Let's talk about the launch and how
Can we
the
wait?
game
Hold on.
felt.
Can we start before launch?
Oh, yes, please. Start before
Beta?
launch. Remind us
Okay.
of where we came from.
All right. So,
The beta error.
well, I was gonna go even before that, where
Oh, okay.
yeah, Bethesda released a press release that was like, "Hey, you remember this? We made this game and we don't know what to make of it, and it's this thing that we're gonna release, and I hope you guys like it, but we don't know how good it's gonna be, question mark, various other things." And that is how they primed their audience that should be in a slam dunk. Like, Fallout is a cultural gaming touchstone for many, many people, including me. I really like Fallout.
And iconic at this point.
Yeah, it really is. And for the company that released the glitchiest games out there, I'm talking, the Skyrims, the Oblivions of the world, for them to prime their audience by saying, this game was kind of disheartening to me, to say the least. And then it came out. And boy, it went from smoldering shit pile to full-on dumpster fire really, really fast.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's so true.
So that's my primer. That's what I had to say. Somebody else can take it from now on.
So, if I'm not mistaken, so they had a glitch at one point that I don't remember if it was for the beta or for the launch of the game, that this glitch ended up deleting the entire game off people's consoles and left it with like a shell window that doesn't launch anything.
That's on PC too. Yeah,
so that was the first
Oops.
major, not piece of nonsense that I remember hearing, like, I don't think games should be deleting themselves when people want to play them. So that sounds like a bad thing.
Yeah, definitely.
So it got past that, and that, thing was very feverishly patched by however many developers that took to find that problem and root that out.
Pete Hines worked on that himself.
Yeah. So, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's a laugh. Continue.
We don't know what we sound like anymore. It's been forever.
The only thing that I remember next happening was much, much later that dealt with the bag fiasco. Now,
There's
I
a bag
could have sworn there's something
fiasco.
that happened right before that.
Yeah, there was. The whole thing about people reporting errors and their tickets and personal addresses getting doxxed on their own website.
That actually happened after the bag fiasco.
I thought it was before.
No, because the problem is that the chain of events that kicked that off is the people who are putting in tickets to get refunded because the bag was not what they advertised.
Oh.
Those refunds of that fiasco triggered the second fiasco.
Okay.
So for anyone who wasn't following, if there was a certain pre-order special edition of the game, where if you pre-ordered the game, you were supposed to receive a canvas Fallout 76 sack. I guess it was emblazoned with like the logo or everything like that. When the game was released, and the people who pre-ordered like the deluxe edition or whatever it was called, they received nylon bags instead of canvas bags. And if you're a bag lady or gentleman like myself, there is a really huge difference in quality and price between a nylon bag and a canvas bag.
Especially when you set it on fire.
It was thin nylon, like really almost like if someone showed a picture of it. And it was pretty sad looking.
It was like wah wah kind of bag.
It was definitely a wah wah bag for sure. So yeah, and it wasn't necessarily the fact that they did give you a bag, and yes, that is true, and they gave you all the stuff they said they'd give you, but it was not what they advertised giving you. And then they came out and said, oh yeah, well by the way, that nylon bag that everyone's referencing was actually a demo bag. And wasn't really intended to be the real thing.
Yeah, and it was going to be too expensive to produce, is what they said.
Okay, and that could have skated by until one of the game reviewers showed, by the way, when we reviewed Fallout 76 way back when, they gave us this bag. And it was a bag 3 times better than the PR bag that was advertised to have been included with said helmet. So it's okay, not only did you just totally, blow smoke out the other end right there, you just already proved you gave a bag that was 3 times the size and quality to all the various game reviewers of the VIP review board. So they kind of already put their foot even farther into their mouth on that one.
Yeah. Man. And now, from what I understand, they are making the canvas bag to send out to the people now, which means they spent a whole bunch of money to produce these nylon bags. They spent a whole bunch of PR time saying, no, that was too expensive. And then they had to walk that back and actually produce the canvas bags that they said was too expensive. So they really, it's not to the point where they shot themselves in the foot anymore. It's like they took a double-barreled 10-gauge shotgun and blew their shins away.
While screwing the pooch.
While screwing the pooch. Oh man, this is like the disaster that every PR guy wakes up in the middle of the night in cold sweats screaming. This is the thing. This is it. This is what happens.
So while we're bringing up more hits to Bethesda, I should go ahead and say that the game itself is sitting at a 52 on Metacritic, and that's the critic score.
Yeah.
It's sitting at a 2.6 user score.
Out of
10, I think. That's what user scores were.
Ooh.
Yeah, and as of right now, it is scoring worse than No Man's Sky, than Mass Effect Andromeda,
say no
Vanilla
more.
Destiny.
Say no more. All you had to do is remind us of that bookmark game that will forever be remembered in history. And to be worse than that is truly an abomination.
We're talking about the D word, right?
Well, I was sticking with No Man's Sky, but that's extra depths. You have to bunker bust to that level, and I think they're almost there. They're about to crack the shell on that one.
And this is talking about launch scores, not anything that has gone back and been re-reviewed or anything like that, because it could turn out that they get through some of the glitches and get everyone their bags and,
That other rabbit hole you just referenced would be like a scene from A Journey to the Center of the Earth, type deep.
Yeah. Oh, man. I'm sure that they're going to work out some of the bugs and that it's going to be a more playable game in the future. But in this fast, consumerist, capitalist economy where time equals money and all of the other buzzwords about... Oh, God. There was a witch. Yeah. Okay, time equals money and all that junk. It's gone. Like, this opportunity for them to redeem themselves is already passed. It's too late.
Yeah.
They're just going to have to make another game and hope that it works better than...
The foul taste has marinated, and there is no getting it out.
So that is actually the before. I was going to ask this after we got to the end of our 76 talk, but since we're technically here, I was going to ask, do they have an opportunity to actually like bring this game back? And I asked that when taking into consideration this new cycle of releasing honestly piss poor games, and then working very hard on them to create something that is established and bringing user bases to parity of what it should have been at launch, right? And so I say that referencing Vanilla Destiny, No Man's Sky, and The Division, who had relatively strong sales and launches, like relatively for the time. But then once the thinness, and these are varying because I do think that Division launched in a better state than the other two games. Mm-hmm. But then once the thinness of either the content or the gameplay or, the understanding, or in Division's case, like the quality of the graphics and things being downgraded and the glitches that happen to certain, to some of the player base, but eventually work their way up. Are you saying that Fallout 76 doesn't have the bandwidth or the grounds to work their way up into a playable game?
I mean,
or an enjoyable game?
They probably
I just
do.
remembered another knock that it had against it that we missed.
Oh, yeah?
The one where there was a set of gamers that apparently were alleged to have been homophobic and attacked some players in-game. And as a reply to that, Bethesda straight up determined who the group of people were and banned them, like straight up banned them completely, even though prior they advertised you can do whatever you want in this game. So again, another weird PR toe the line type thing that they're pulling there. That's just another little interesting tidbit.
I don't know that that's necessarily bad. There's not really a place for homophobia in the world.
No, and I agree that it isn't, but I think the ban extended to all products from Bethesda. I don't know if it was necessarily from just that game.
Oh dang! Oh dang! Anyway, will they have a chance to redeem themselves
with this game?
Because
we all like. With this game, you mentioned them having to produce another game, but can they come back with this one?
There's a
can they get rid of all of the
can.
lens flare and the and the bizarre glitching in the T poses? And they did their first patch, and while I don't think it removed some of the major glitches, they have started their patching process. So
yeah. I think they have a decent shot. There are a few things that are going on in Bethesda's favor. One is that they are a private company. They're beholden to no one. So they don't have to worry about investors or anything breathing down their necks, and they can work on it as they see fit rather than just abandoning it like we saw with Andromeda.
Abandoned ship.
Yeah. I've been meaning to pick up the novel about the Korean arc, but I have not done that yet. Anyway, they have a pretty good team. They've released some great things in the past, and I imagine that they're going to be releasing some great things in the future. Crossing my fingers here for things like Starfield and The Elder Scrolls 6. But I don't know if when they actually do redeem themselves, that anyone will care.
Yeah. That does make sense because, this was their chance to get in before the big Q1 games that are coming out next year, which is the Division 2 and BioWare's Anthem. This was their big to come out on top and to, if they didn't have the installed player base, then to have them come back to the game, with like a planned DLC or something like that. But it sounds like even though there are people who are playing it and enjoying it, it's not receiving the acclaim and player base they wanted or expected.
No.
Yeah.
To list a few more things that are not in Fallout 76's favor, since we're still shitting on Fallout 76, it sounds like. It seems like they just imported the menus from Fallout 4, which were disgusting for a single-player game, and have absolutely no business being in a multiplayer game that you can't pause, because they're cumbersome when they're good, like when you actually know what's going on, and to have to fight through all the menus that don't really make much sense when you are in a game where you can constantly get shot at, that you can't, stop the action to min-max your rifle or anything like that. In an RPG where tons of people love to min-max things, it's really not... It didn't seem like they thought that through. And it was very strange to me. And there was one other thing, but I completely forgot it because that kind of made me angry.
No.
Oh, yeah, really. Oh.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah. I'm losing words. We need to move on.
Anger meter rising.
Well, so here's my last big question before we move to happier times, because I'm sure we'll revisit this conversation when the Wavy podcast comes out, the Wavy show, second annual.
I smell a contender for biggest flop 76.
I'm just saying, in a year of big flops, you are sitting pretty high on the loser board or leaderboard, as you would say. But, oh no, don't tell me I just lost my question.
Oh no.
Fast, your questions are always so good. What happened to it?
I know,
List recover.
No, it's not on the list. It just
Hit
came
refresh.
to me. I lost my question,
F5,
guys.
F5.
I lost my questions. I'm
It's
so
gone.
sorry.
It's gone forever.
It's gone. It's gone. I got so excited about the Wavies.
I can vamp about building a PC while you think of your question, if you want.
Yeah, vamp for a second.
Okay. Well, I, Scourge, the member of DerNami, the relatively absolutely unheard of gaming group that just wants free shit from developers, is making a PC, a home build, as it were. And I haven't built. I'm acquiring parts, and I am speccing my entire PC around an i9 Intel 8-core CPU. And if you are in the market for CPUs or anything like that, you will know that the i9 came out Q4 2018. Like, it's new.
Hot off the machines.
So I have to essentially get the newest shit in my PC for it to even interface with this monstrosity of CPU.
Oh, woe is you. You have to have the latest and greatest.
I know, it hurts so bad. Oh, RTX 2080. Oh my god, ow. I'm also putting a whole bunch of RGB shit in there, it's gonna light up like West Hollywood when I turn it on. It's gonna be nuts, and I'm giddy with anticipation as I hope it comes together before Cyberpunk 2077. But we will absolutely see if it is worth the endeavor that I'm putting into it. And is this enough vamping? Have I done enough vamping? Please tell me yes. I don't know how much longer I can go.
You have done more than enough vamping, but sadly the question is not coming back to me.
Oh.
I know, I'm really sad because I was super excited about it, but those doggone wavies, just thinking about making a list and then
checking it
crossing things
twice.
off.
That's what I thought.
So it just took me away.
You're going to do St. Nick proud.
Well, tis the season of joy and happiness and positivity, which is why we are turning our attentions from the disaster that was Fallout 76 to Anthem. Let's get on board that hype train, guys.
Ooh, potential
Choo-choo.
disaster.
Oh my goodness. If you guys haven't watched it, go watch the video of where they show and demo the color shaders for this game. This ain't gonna be slap a one little icon and you get 3 colors across your suit type shader. This is, oh, I want meticulous chainmail patterns on the underside of my left arm style of shader.
You hear that, Destiny? You hear that, Bungie? You insignificant shits.
So there is going to be a stupid amount of visual customizability that totally exclude the actual decals that they'll have in game too.
Yeah. So should we talk a little bit about what they actually demoed in that video? Because there are a few other things that have come out after that.
I think so. Anthem has had, within the past month, is it 2 or 3 separate streams?
They've had 3 streams that I know of, and there are a few that I probably haven't seen.
Well, they had some post E3, and like maybe one pre E3, but within the past like month or so, they've had 3 amazing streams. Arcadius referenced the one with the visuals and the customization, the character and Javelin customization. They had one where they demoed gameplay, co-op gameplay, and the last one that Scorch and I watched together was
Besties, gaming besties. It was.
Did not be on that one. I was
together, best
relocating.
friends. No, but that one was about doing customizing your Javelin builds.
Yes. They also did a little bit about weapons. They did like specs and loadouts. Is what they did on this one.
Talk on that one since I was not internet worthy.
Well, my friend, we are here to enlighten.
Yes,
Please,
but let's
tell
start.
me.
Let's start with the
Speak of
customization
wisdom.
one, because that one was. I was already excited about Anthem. I've been keeping up with like their Ask Me Anythings, and you know, following them on Twitter. Anytime something threw down, I was there to like getting a little bit of morsels, and you know, just to. I'm going to pre-order this game, but it's kind of like, am I going to pre-order it standard, or am I going to get the new Dawn edition and get all the
Legion
armor
of
packs?
Dawn.
Yeah,
Excuse me,
that deal is
Legion of
done.
Dawn.
They released the trailer for what the Legion of Dawn actually was. If you haven't gone and seen that, you should, because it's cool.
Yes, it is
I
cool.
will need to do that.
So let's talk about this customization and how we feel about it, guys.
All right. Well, let me set the stage here for Arcadius seeing this stream for the first time, because it's kind of funny in my book. It's the day before Christmas, or not Christmas, Thanksgiving. Arcadius is at my house, sitting in my domicile. And
Because he was in town, why not?
Yeah. I flip on this stream. He watches it, all like hour and 2 minutes of it, and he looks at me dead in the eyes and says, "We'll pre-order this game because of this."
That's all it took.
Yep. That's
You
That's
know,
it.
it's all
sealed
about
the deal.
look and fly as you lay waste to your enemies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And this game is going to deliver in spades.
And we need to say that Arcadius hardly ever pre-orders shit. So
This is true.
I really
when
don't.
he says that he's gonna pre-order it, that's pretty high praise for what he saw.
So
And
what
plus,
got you
there
so
is a little
excited,
internal
friend?
bias because I do love mechs, and this game is pretty much centered around that singular thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's exciting. I can't wait.
So yeah.
So what got you so excited?
Yeah.
Okay, the other thing that kind of bolstered my excitement was an article I read. I mean, I wasn't able to join your stream, but I did read another article of a reviewer who talked about the drop system for the game. Now, I know a big conversation point was the loot boxes for the game, or quote-unquote, if there were going to be loot boxes. And the way that this game reviewer described the loot system that is going to occur in as far as, you know, what they've presented in the alpha, what they've presented behind closed doors to these game reviewers, it is going to be a bit of a spliced setup between, in his words, Diablo, The Division, and there was a third game that I think he might have mentioned, Destiny, but only in the method in which you pick up weapons, not the scalability and the stats.
Mm-hmm.
So he said it looked like it was going to be more not grindy, but into the nitty-gritty details where the things that you would obtain have very exacting stats, and a person can build their mech or their setup to fit a very particular situation as needed based on the kinds of stuff they will find in the world over time from various drops. So he pretty much hearkened it almost to Diablo type style of loot systems.
Yeah, like running a set.
It's not going to be boxes you buy. It's not going to be engrams you got to go find and turn into somebody. It's going to be, you beat this thing, here's the loot for it. And then it's much more direct. It's much more calculating in the style of loot that is provided, and therefore encourages beating, not necessarily grinding, to just, you know, oh, this one guy only drops this one weapon, time to grind. Archon Priest, you shit. And then, you know, it basically boils down to, you know, it is still a random, you know, a random scheme, but it's random enough that you can enjoy other aspects of the game without worrying, are you in the right spot to obtain this one thing you need?
Yeah.
So that
They covered that
was
a
really
little
good.
bit on the stream that you missed and Vast and I caught in the middle of the day
Got it.
the other day. But we were going to talk about customization and why you decided, specifically you, Arcadius, why you decided that you would pre-order this game after having seen it. What about the customization got you to that outcome?
Okay, so besides the fact that in their demo, the detail was breathtaking on these. Now, what's the javelins? That's
Yeah,
the official term for these things, right? Okay. So besides the fact that in your little garage space or whatever you want to call it, modifying space, paint booth, whatever you want to call it.
Some would say it spins around as you walk up to it, but don't.
It actually reminded me of the Metroid Prime stands. Like,
Yeah,
where
kind of.
Samus is sitting there and you're like, you know, doing stuff while she's just kind of chilling on the little load pad. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Don't ask me how I
while
know.
this-
I can't tell you, NDA.
Yeah. While the Javelin is standing there and they're talking, they haven't even showed any decals yet. And I'm looking at this Javelin, and it literally looks like they told somebody, all right, you're not going to do anything on this project besides detailing this Javelin. This will be your sole responsibility from here on out till end of project. You will be manager of Javelin Aesthetics. And whoever that person is absolutely worth their weight in whatever money they're being paid, because it was immaculate levels, comparatively, detail that I have seen in other games that try to accomplish the same thing with mech-styled suits and customization with regards to aesthetics, equipment, and styling. And oh my goodness, was the attention to detail there. And not just the attention to detail and the 3D art form or curvature of said, details that are already wow-worthy, but the fact that they showed, demoed, oh, so they're not just color shaders. They are going to be material shaders that are separate from color shaders. So you want something that's chromed? All right, apply your chrome shader. Oh, wait, did you want blue chrome? Put the color shader on top of your chrome, and it is going to look fly as hell. And the
Rose gold all day.
Each armor piece has 6 aesthetic customization segments. So that includes the various color, material, texture, and I think there's even one more on top.
There's a wear state. There is
the wear. So on top of all of that stuff, you're like, I need this to be a little weathered. Boom, weather shader. It's not really a shader, but just what we're going to refer to it as.
Yeah.
And so it's stupid levels of visual customization from what games that look like this typically offer. And this is without... And they know that you're going to apply this level of customization partly for your own satisfaction, because most of this detail will barely be visible probably when you're in the throes of gameplay in the open world with your friends.
But that doesn't make it any less impactful while you're in the gameplay. You're going to look fly as shit as you're incinerating all the little bad guys, okay?
Yes, because on your screen, this is the gratification to the player that they get to look exactly how they want to look. They know how they look, and they're mowing down all the enemies while they're like, I'm fine as hell. Look at that. God damn. And that's the level of enjoyment that people get out of a game that, let's face it, most gamers want to look fly while they're pounding enemies. They're going to get it. And they're going to get it from this demo in spades.
Yep. And so on top of the different the shaders, the material detailing, they also have vinyls.
Yes, they do. They do.
I don't want to spend 20 hours doing something. How about someone who's made a nice, swanky custom decal? N7 decal coming in from Mass Effect.
Mass Effect. They specifically showed that on the Interceptor, I believe,
It looks so good. Oh my god.
It looked pretty good. Although I must admit that it's a black and red skin, and Vast does not like that color palette.
So here's the thing about black and red. It's not that I dislike it. It's that I feel that we as gamers can look at the entirety of the color spectrum and come up with better options than just red and black. So I'm going to challenge our listeners who are hopefully growing in number to and who are going to be playing Anthem, because it's the customization is gonna bring you back. I can tell you that already. That we should try and come up with some color combinations that aren't just, a mimic of your high-powered PC and
gonna be so
gaming
OP
accoutrements.
You're going to have backpack tactical nuke ability.
And then, there was something else
You
that they
saw
had.
the video. You saw that Colossus lay waste to his enemy with a little punk fired out of his little backpack cannon.
Look, and on top, and they didn't even show you the weapon customization. That's probably going to be coming there too.
Now that I did not see. That's going to be on the video I think you guys saw.
Yeah, we can explain that in a little bit.
We can explain that for a little bit. But when I say customization, I meant in terms of looks.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. I didn't mean stats. To me, that kind of customization is going to be dependent on the drop. Which, if that one reviewer compared it to Diablo, you could get 2 of the same gun but very different stats, and then you could just sell off or trade off the other one, or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And there was one other thing besides vinyls. Scorch, can you help me out here?
Albeit for
So
the demo to the viewers, they only demoed one javelin. They did not
they
demo
did the
other
Ranger.
javelins.
They
They did the
showed
Ranger.
the Storm. They showed the Interceptor. They did not touch the Colossus, and they focused on the Ranger.
So mad. It's okay.
And so, well, actually, real quick, because there was something else, and it wasn't the vinyls, but there was another like in-game jargon that they talked that went with the detailed customization, where it was like an in-game shader pack, you know.
Yes and no. I'm drawing a blank too.
I know.
You mean
This
like
is so
a
terrible.
reward chest type thing?
No. So they had a thing called vinyls, which is basically a sticker
It's
that you
a
could
skin.
slap on your.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
skin.
It's like a pre-made skin.
Okay, that's the pre-made skin. But they had something else that went along with the vinyl, and I can't remember what it's called right now. So that's just something we're gonna have to come back.
With the vinyl.
I mean, they had the sort of the stylistic matching armor sets, and that's where the new Dawn pack is giving you a matching armor set for all your javelins.
Maybe that's what I'm trying to
So it's
reference.
the general pre-order gives you the Dawn set for just the Ranger, and if you order the deluxe, you get all the
Legion of
armors
Dawn
for all
armor.
the javelins. Yeah,
Mhm,
you get all
So-
of them.
So this is where I try to take Scorch a little bit and Arcadis into the speculation zone, because bottom line for me, the customization looked amazing, and it's something that I feel that you don't necessarily have to worry about, because unlike games, say like Warframe, they're not going to have color packs. You actually have just the
You've got the color ring.
Yeah, you have a standard color ring, so you can pull out tons and tons of colors from just that ring, right? They also have a buttload of different patterns that you can apply
they
to
do.
the fabric and to the metal. So there's a lot of customization that's already built in there, and like Arcadius mentioned, you also have the material color shaders, so you can, do gold, or you can do chrome, or you can do rose gold, or you can do tin, and I think they mentioned copper and brass. So they like the real metallics that exist in our universe are going to be, or excuse me, real metals that exist in our universe are going to be used within this universe. So they have that too, and so the more I looked at it, I was like, oh, this is really robust. How are they gonna get money for us? Because that's what I look at now. Like, this is a really cool system. How are you going to capitalize and get money out of us using this system? Because make that money. I'm vain. I like looking good in a game.
Hey, Danny.
And so I was thinking, okay, hey, Danny. So I was thinking they're not going to do it with, I hopefully they will not do it with the different like materials and stuff like that. But maybe they'll do it with armor packs and like saturated or different color saturations.
I see them selling sets that you can't get in game, but once you buy the set, you can colorize it the way you want it. That's what I see.
So I can't imagine that they would lock you out of certain portions of the color wheel, because that would be mean. I mean, I suppose that they could, but
I'm not saying like you would have that full color wheel, and I think you can get a lot of different colors out of that, but you can't. It looked like you couldn't do different things with saturation within that wheel.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So that's what I'm saying. Maybe they'll give you like the base color wheel, and then they'll give you like, I don't know, saturation 7, and then all neon, and then like through the sepia looking glass. I don't know. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people want old-timey
I
stuff.
hate sepia. Oh my god. That's the worst stuff ever. Anyway, the way that I think they're gonna monetize the way that you look is that they're gonna sell armor packs, and they're gonna sell vinyls. I don't think that they are going to mess around with the color all that much. The saturation is a good call, but I don't really want them hearing that because then they might actually put that in.
Well, who's going to be listening to us, honestly? From BioWare, listen to us, BioWare.
Honestly,
I
live in your town, BioWare. I live in your town. One of the big deals for me, in color and customization with Halo and a little bit in Warframe and to a certain extent in PlanetSide, though in PlanetSide you didn't actually have an option to like custom color yourself, is that you do not have access a lot of times to like true like blacks and true blues and true reds. It's always like that offset red that they call something else. And I know in Warframe you had to buy a palette that had a true black in it if you wanted to color your frames any of those like good strong colors.
This is true, but I do have a rebuttal. But continue.
No, you can rebut. That's fine.
No. So my rebuttal was that Warframe does do the paid color packs, and in my mind they're a little pricey. However, they give away like 4 or 5 free color palettes every year that have like the major colors in there. So and
over
they
time,
have like
you can actually get them for free.
You can get like every color that you're looking for free, because like they have like a pastel palette for Easter, they have like a bunch of reds and greens and oranges for October, and then they for Xbox and PS4 they have like a custom console set which include like a variation of blacks and stuff like that. So eventually you can get all of them, but it's a very huge time investment. Because are you going to be playing Warframe for a year?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Continue.
Still attainable, still fair, but not necessarily as quick as most people probably want it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is how they get you.
Yeah, that sounds understandable. They feed on the impatience of the American consumer to immediately get what they want.
I mean, if you're willing to actually throw down the time to make that worth it, then be my guest. If you're planning on playing Warframe for like 4 years and you're really gonna use that color palette, then by all means,
that's me.
Go for it. I personally am gonna be really super excited in the year 2021 when we're able to play Anthem, because for 2 years we're going to be customizing our starter javelins.
You know that's what's gonna happen. You know that's what I am already like. I've already said I'm just gonna go ahead and buy the premium like. Pre-order so I can go ahead and have the armor, because I know that while I'm not going to use the armor for like the helmet for the ranger, I love this piece for it. And then we didn't even talk about how amazing the storm javelin looked just in motion in game, and all the tiny details that were associated with that javelin. Like,
again,
it looks
great to the incredible attention to detail that each one of these suits has.
Oh yeah.
The storm javelins, is it his right arm? Their right arm, rather?
Yeah, it's the one that's not cloaked, and it's the one that has all those little peg things on it.
Yes, it generates...
circulating?
Yes, yeah. It generates electricity, and it circulates, and those little pegs that are, that have the electricity jumping from point to point on it move and pulsate.
Like little Tesla towers.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And then I can color it. Oh.
Take me.
Take me away on your javelin, sir.
Oh my gosh. Do you believe I'm getting the vapors?
It's so sexy.
How loud? L-A-W-D.
Loud!
Lord have mercy.
Oh man, that's great. That's great.
Really
Okay,
good
so that's
stuff.
about the customization. Let's talk about the gameplay real quick. Not the alpha gameplay that some of us may have experienced, but the gameplay that they showed us in their
No, never mind.
that they showed us in their second stream.
Okay.
Indeed.
So, one of the big things that they were talking about, and I think one of the things that's really, really going to come into play later on around in-game and all that, oh shit, is the ability to prime a combo and then release a combo for, massive bonus elemental damage and have all those giant numbers fly off of those dudes as you can watch their health bars die. That kind of thing. That, like, a wonderful, beautiful slot machine arm pull thing that they do. And the way that they have it is that there are certain things, and this is kind of bleeding into the most recent stream. They explain this a little bit, but there are certain attachments and components that you can do and have that prime combos that like build that counter, and then there are detonation components that set off the combo after it's been primed. And how you decide to use that in combination with your friends will determine how much damage you can do to L bad guys.
Yeah.
And it looks pretty freaking sweet, guys.
Oh yeah, it looks amazing.
They in the stream itself, they had a ranger and a interceptor, and so they demonstrated some of the ranger's key abilities, and the interceptor had a melee build on, and they didn't like focus the camera on that character or that dev very often, but in the background it looked like it was kicking a lot of ass. And so I was quite curious to see more. No, I'm sorry, they didn't have the ranger. It was the storm. It was the storm and the interceptor. Excuse me, I misspoke. And it looked pretty sweet.
It absolutely did. So we got a little peek at both of the ultimate moves in their gameplay of the interceptor and the storm. And evidently the storm like designates 3 big ass areas and then drops a meteor on each one, and each place has a different elemental effect,
which I think like an electrified meteor.
Which I think is going to be absolutely friggin' ridiculous when you can like it's gonna be so good, you guys. It's gonna be so good.
We already know from the very first demo video they showed that the Colossus has basically a tactical nuke on his back.
Yeah.
That he can just fire into a spot and everything just goes away.
Yeah. Yeah. And what did the interceptor do? They primed it with a certain element and then it became invulnerable and did a whole bunch of melee attacks, right?
Yes.
And then we know the ranger has the mini missiles that go everywhere.
Iron Man style?
Yeah.
Iron Man style. And they definitely demonstrated that more than a couple times on the third stream, which I think we're kind of falling into right now when we talk about the different attacks that we saw, because they talked about how you can customize your builds and your javelin and your weapons.
Yes. That was their most recent stream that they had. It happened this week. I think it was like Wednesday. Was it Wednesday?
Something like that.
Yeah. What the hell is that sound?
Surprising us all.
Yeah.
And that was actually a very interesting stream itself, because like Arcadis mentioned in his reading of the news article, they really got into the nitty-gritty of what it means to develop a build in their game and how what am I trying to say here? How granular it can be in terms of the different perks that you will have across the spectrum of rarity, with which they had 5 levels.
Yep.
Scorch, correct me if I'm wrong. Like common.
They had common, uncommon, rare, masterwork, and legendary.
Didn't they have an epic in there?
They did. It wasn't rare, was it? It was epic.
Maybe it was epic.
It was 5 or 6.
Okay.
You're gonna have a lot of stuff.
You're going to have a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Wasn't that pretty similar to the difficulty settings?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
man. We
they
didn't
had
even mention that.
they had for difficulty they had what? Lancer, Freelancer, Master, Grandmaster 1, Grandmaster 2, Grandmaster 3.
Oh God.
Oh man. And increasing levels of difficulty paired with increasing levels of incredible ridiculous loot that drops and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
But the guy, one of the dudes that ran the stream, set up his ranger in a very specific way so that what he did compounded the other things that he could do with the suit. So for instance, what he did was he built a ranger that had really, really reduced cooldowns on his abilities when he hovered in the sky.
Yes.
And so he decided that he was going to hover in the sky, and then when he killed somebody with his wrist rocket, it made his grenade more powerful. And when he used his grenade and got a multi-kill of 3 or more, it recharged his super. So that when he used his super, he got his wrist rocket back and was able to do it again and just keep rolling as far as he wanted.
Oh my.
Yeah.
And they mentioned, like there are different ways that you can spec yourself in terms of like elemental damage.
Mm-hmm.
So they mentioned specifically, if the guy said if I wanted to, or if I was running Colossus, I would, focus on explosive. But there's also like lightning that I could do, and I think maybe they even mentioned freeze. And then he said specifically, this is a really good build for, multiple targets, multiple enemies, but he was, flying away from some of the fauna in the game, like the giant creatures that you can also go out there and slay for materials and stuff like that.
The giant
and
gorilla dudes. They're bullet
they
sponges.
Looked huge.
They're gigantic.
And they were huge. And he was
I
like,
must not have seen these.
No, it's in the stream.
This was the most recent stream.
Okay.
And so he was like, this build is good for groups of enemies, but it's not really good for, single targets,
Big strong ones, yeah.
Big strong ones. And he mentioned specifically if I were using my impact build, which is the build that I have for my weapons, that would have been much better for this specific target. And so he mentioned, of course, his weapon build. I guess the key takeaways that I'm coming from here is that he mentioned weapon builds and how those will stack together, and how you as a team can develop that playstyle. Like, who is the person who's going to be sitting out, taking out, like, doing the most damage on the single players? Who's going to be doing it for, like, the mobs? So you have a little bit of strategy there, too.
Yeah. And we know this strategy is somewhat going to go out the window when Arcadius plays, because he's going to play Colossus that does explosion
Fire
damage.
for effect.
we already called this guy.
That's it. He's going to run.
Well, you need damage? I got you.
He's going to run a chromed out Colossus that makes things blow up. That's what he's going to do.
We talked about this. The deadly nugget. I have to be the golden deadly nugget.
With explosions.
Yes.
Explosions.
Nugget.
Was there anything else? A Torg Colossus. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah.
Was there anything else about the streams that we can talk about, or anything else related?
Well, they went a little bit over some of the weapon characteristics, but they didn't go that far. It sounds as if they have that traditional smattering of weapons where you've got like pistols, assault rifles, shotguns, DMRs, sniper rifles, rocket launchers, heavy grenade launchers, LMGs, a few other things.
And they also mentioned that every javelin will have their one and only one melee. So they mentioned specifically that the ranger had like a shock mace or a shock mallet, something like that.
Yeah, it's a shock mace.
And I don't think they mentioned the other ones, but they also said that maybe in the future they can spec out, more for them, but on launch they'll only have one melee weapon.
Yeah. That's about
and all. And it's class specific.
I think that's about all we can actually talk about from the stream.
Yeah, there wasn't much else. They did show, I will say that the builds that they showed in the stream, if you're interested, were like masterwork or high-level builds. Mm-hmm. So you got a chance to see the different perks that Scorch was referencing earlier. They actually showed those perks in stream and how they worked together. And then they showed them versus, I think, an epic rarity, so you can kind of see the difference in the perk tiers and the percentages. Yeah. Some of the percentages didn't work, but they were different with your like
most
masterwork
recent
level.
Build of the game. Things don't work. It's not super perfect or anything like that. There's one more thing that I would like to mention from the stream that they had, was that they've been listening to all the various people say that I don't want my stats tied to what I look like, because I want to wear what I want to wear, and I also want to do what I want to do. And so they've separated the two. You can look like whatever you want, and you can also have your component section that tailors your playstyle.
Nice.
So there is no cosmetic thing that has a stat associated with it. All the stats are separate. So you can look however you want to look.
That's transmogging.
There's not going to be like that in-game where everybody looks the same, because you got to have the best armor to do the in-game stuff.
Yes.
Everybody's going to look different.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Until
so
you
good.
take a look at me on stream and you're going to be like, hey, Vass, how did you put that fly chromed out interceptor together? And I'll be like, let's fashion frame it, or fashion javelin it today. It's going to happen, guys. You're going to love it.
So we've already talked about
the deadly nugget.
We've already talked about, Vass and I, we've already talked about grabbing screenshots of various other players, or people sending in their setups, so that Vass can Joan Rivers the shit out of whatever you put on your suit.
It's gonna happen, and you're gonna love it.
Good.
Oh,
all right,
it's gonna be
well, that
great.
sounds like we've come to the end of Anthem. Hype train, full effect.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I'm shoveling coal as fast as possible at this point.
All right, so I guess that brings us to our next topic, which is going to be a little bit random, and we'll probably skate through it pretty quickly, but it's going to bring us a topic that Scorch is really looking forward to, so that's why I'm sticking it here now, and that is the 2018 Game Awards. The 2018 Game Awards have come, they have went, we have winners, we have losers, we have gaming announcements. Let's start with just like the winners, or the game that won big this year, which was
God of War.
God of War.
It won Game of the Year.
And I think Best Action Adventurer.
Okay, yeah.
So it's racking them up.
God of War. Danny just said God of War in the chat too. There's some synergy going on right now. So just a quick aside, I plan on Christmas Day to Photoshop a little Santa hat on top of Kratos and change his line to joy instead of boy.
Please.
That'll be good. That will be excellent. I mean, Danny of all people should definitely be saying it. She freaking platinumed that game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Kudos to you, Danny. I don't think I had the patience for that.
Oh my gosh.
I know I didn't.
Yeah.
So how do we feel?
Don't even talk about that platinum nonsense. Don't even get me started.
So So before Arcadia shreds me for not finishing Dad of War, what do we feel? Was it deserved? It had some stiff competition, especially when you look at like some of the games that came out of the latter part of the year, Red Dead Redemption specifically. Did we think it was going to happen? Did we know? What do we think?
Was
it obvious?
To me, I think when I put the game down after I had put the period on it, completed the campaign, did the thing, and I was like, man, that was a good game.
I will be
shocked if it does not win Game of the Year.
So I heard a lot of good things about Red Dead Redemption 2. I've yet to play it, and I don't know if I actually will or not, but I can completely understand the Red Dead fans being kind of angry at the outcome of the Game of the Year going to God of War. But I will say that, though not mutually exclusive, the players that play God of War and the players that play Red Dead Redemption are in two pretty different camps. And if you root for one, you're probably not going to be rooting for the other, or even have played the other. So it's a little stilted, I think, the way people look at this category, but I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out.
I also think there's a little bit more momentum on the nostalgia train behind God of War than Red Dead Redemption.
Yeah. I mean, Red Dead Redemption 1 was looked upon pretty fondly in the gaming community, but I don't say...
If you take God of War in its entirety...
It doesn't have the lineage.
It doesn't have this legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost Jinx.
Got a little more oomph on the legacy side of things.
Who's this in the new person in the chat? Paulo Alonso says, "What's good? What's up, my friend? Welcome to the stream, our show."
Welcome to the stream.
I think that does it for the VGAs. Should we move on?
Nope. I'm going to drag it out a little bit longer because I know there's something you want to talk about, and but there are a couple of other things that were announced, or excuse me, not announced, but Monster Hunter won Role-Playing Game of the Year. Fortnite won Multiplayer Game of the Year.
Of course.
Overwatch won Esports Game of the Year. They announced Esports Team of the Year, which is Cloud9. Fortnite also won Ongoing Game. And I wanted to ask you guys about that category, Best Ongoing Game.
Okay.
That's actually a category?
It is a new category. I think it was introduced last year. And you're going to have to forgive me because it may sound like I actually keep up with the VGAs, but I really don't.
Yeah, me neither.
So, I'm kind of out of my award show phase, but I wanted to ask you about a game like Fortnite winning Best Multiplayer Game and then Best Ongoing Game, and how the industry or awards are going to go forward with these live stream, not live stream, what are they called? Live service games, and how do you feel their placement is when it comes to evaluating games that have come out this year versus games that are continually worked on and arguably improved throughout the year, and how we go about comparing those things, because we are, we have our wavies, we have our own awards.
Yeah.
So
how should we tackle this? I think that while the incredible rise of Fortnite started to take place in 2017, it really reached its maximum pace this year, which was why you saw it take Ongoing, and what was the other one? Best Action or something like that?
Ongoing Game and Best Multiplayer Game.
Multiplayer Game, that's right. I don't think, at least in my opinion, it would be eligible to be in both at the same time next year. I think it would be more apropos to just keep it in Ongoing again if the train is still running on Fortnite.
Okay.
I think it was included in both of those purely because of the weight of that title this year.
Okay.
I don't know. I think Ongoing Game's a ruse.
What do you mean?
it just doesn't. It's like trying to. It's people capitalizing off of a momentary hype. I mean, excluding the fact that Fortnite won it, it's literally playing on the fact that you can get just a little bit of extra PR off a momentary hype, and then all of a sudden something could happen and it totally tanks, but you could still have quote unquote clutched a ongoing Game of the Year award. And if you're gonna win an award for a game, it should be out of completeness from a start to finish phase, and it should be standalone, because that basically sounds to me like an incomplete award. And although we know about the history that Fortnite has going into it, so it's been a sort of in development game, and I know that we got the paid version when it first came out as part of the start of their development phase, that then fueled their ability to fund and create the battle royale that they were able to create. But for any given game besides Fortnite to have some kind of ongoing award just seems incomplete, and it seems kind of cheap. It cheapens the award to me.
All right, let me play Devil's Sexy Assistant and say, what if the ongoing game, the best ongoing game category wasn't filled with like your looter shooter or your battle royale or your hero shooter or MOBA game? What if it was like a really enthralling serial, like action adventure game in the vein of Horizon Zero Dawn? And they decided that they will give you a complete gaming experience, but then the next year they release DLC story pack that was, $20, and it was amazing. It completely.
You experienced Horizon for its game, but not for the story at first, and then you did the story
like
later?
It had. Let's say like it had its. We received Horizon Zero Dawn, and it was great. Yeah. It was the full game that we received, and then the next year they released their DLC, like they did basically, but instead of it just being like and honestly, I didn't finish that, so I don't remember how many story missions it was, but it was a major expansion, and it continued the game in this DLC instead of in the true sequel.
Yeah.
And it was like an amazing achievement. Would it be a cheap moment for that game because they continued the story without having to go through a full development cycle to give you a whole brand new gaming experience?
I would think they would have to leverage on having been awarded something prior to that DLC, because if it couldn't have won anything prior to that DLC, then again, it's still, to me, even for a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, would seem like a cheap award.
Okay.
Because you would not have been able to prove yourself, proving ground reference, as to what the game actually stacked up to be in its entirety, rather than, oh, well, this game's been super awesome, it hasn't won anything, but we're just going to go ahead and slide this little award in, it's currently the best ongoing. And it's like, no, at that point you have played it, you have evaluated it, and if it wasn't good, it didn't win anything.
Okay. All right.
I suppose so. I don't know.
It's just an interesting topic. I'm sure we'll come back to it, especially when we start compiling our own lists for the wavies that are coming 2019. Get ready for that cast. It's going to be amazing.
Our next podcast, we're going to have it in March.
No, we're not.
But at our current pace, that is shaping up to be that way.
Because we are back on it, guys. Okay, so that's all about the games and our topics there. Let's go to the gaming announcements, which gets us a little bit closer to something that Scorch wants to talk about. During the gaming award, they actually released they had a little bit of a coup, in that they had some really good trailers that were shown throughout the award show.
Mm-hmm.
One of them was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 for the Switch, exclusive to the Switch.
Spoiler, that's not the one that I'm excited about.
That is not the one that Scorch is excited about. Rocket League had a trailer for a McLaren DLC, which is not something I'm excited about, but it was there on the show.
McLaren makes quality.
This is true. This is true. They had the trailer.
For the Rocket League aspect of it.
Yeah.
They had the trailer for The Last Campfire, which looked beautiful. I highly recommend you guys go out and take a look at this trailer after the stream if you haven't already. It just looked like a really amazing game. The same for Hades, which is a game from
Hades.
Supergiant Games. I'm like one switch away from purchasing that game.
What is that game? I haven't watched that video, but I don't know what the hit me with the short and sweet version.
It's from Supergiant Games, which is a studio that made Bastion and Transistor. It's a roguelite game. I think, is it like or light?
One or the other. You could just drop the sound, make it soft, and then it could be
no
either.
one would know.
Yeah, it's roguelite, and then that's it.
That's it. And that is but it's basically you're the son of Hades, and you're trying to escape out of his dungeon. And as you go and you progress and you learn more of the game, go through the dungeons, you'll eventually probably be killed. And and that's a built-in feature of the game. And so you start over with your knowledge and your new resources, and then you go and try it again. Procedurally generated dungeon type place. But what I love about Supergiant Games is that they have such an amazing, incredible art team. Art style, art direction is very unique. And if they just came out with like a graphic novel for this, or even for their last game, which was Pyre, did you guys play that?
I didn't.
Oh my gosh, it's a beautiful. Like, I don't. How do I say this? It's not that I don't care about sports, but I don't follow sports like I used to in my youth. But in my youth, but Supergiant Games had me playing like basically a basketball game for about 6 hours. And I'm like, and then I realized what I was doing. I was like, stop it. But yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. So please check out that trailer as well. A couple of other things like Crash Team Racing, the kart game. It's coming back. It's going to maybe try and challenge Mario like it did all those years ago. And Far Cry New Dawn. Scorch, did you check that out?
I saw the art on it, and I don't really know where to go with Far Cry at this point. I wasn't incredibly impressed with Far Cry 5. It was good, but it just felt like any other Far Cry game. So
really,
I was just there wasn't really a hook for me. So
not even with all the amazing background lore and the creepy preacher and the 30-minute the 30-minute live action trailer series that they had and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, it was cool and all of that. It just felt like Far Cry to me, and I've played 4 of them at this point, and though they're good, they just feel the same to me. Like, they build it around a good bad guy, and they peaked at Voss at Far Cry 3, and they haven't really been able to replicate that kind of lightning in a bottle since then. And though they've tried and they've made some pretty dynamic characters and all of that, they are really kind of running out of the whole freshness of that idea for me.
Okay.
It's becoming
that is
stale.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about something that is not stale. Let's talk about the trailer that was released that had Scorch telling us to run to YouTube, which was The Outer Worlds.
You guys, have you seen the trailer yet? Did you go?
No,
yes.
It's good.
Did you go and watch the trailer?
I went because Scorch, I'm your best friend.
Uh-huh. Gamer
I've
buddies, besties forever.
Gamer buddies.
Okay, so Outer Worlds is the previously unknown game that's being made by Obsidian. And Obsidian is the dudes that made Fallout New Vegas. And Fallout New Vegas is probably my favorite Fallout game. and they kind of fell silent for a really long time, and then they mentioned that they're working on something, and then Microsoft bought them, and then they released this trailer for Outer Worlds, and it looks very Fallout-like. It has all the hallmarks of a decent RPG. It has some beautiful, beautiful artwork that goes around with it. It's from Obsidian. And though Obsidian is now a Microsoft first-party company, they're still releasing it on PlayStation. So you are not going to miss out, even though they are now in the incorrect camp. I'm going to say that because, we're PlayStation players.
For life?
Until the PC, breathes.
Okay, that too. But for life?
For a semi-permanent existence? Yeah. It just looks really cool. It looks really cool.
It looks like Obsidian opened its giant gates, sent out this trailer, and then tap danced all over Bethesda's grave.
I don't think that they were planning on it like that.
But it definitely probably ended up like that.
That's how it lined up. And I'm not sad about
saying.
that. I'm really not sad about that.
I ain't even mad.
Yeah. So it's got the same kind of like tongue-in-cheek humor and stuff like that New Vegas had. IGN got a small gameplay walkthrough video of it, and they've already shown it off. One of the things that they ran by in the game was a drugstore called Antibiotics, and it was AUNTIE-biotics, which I thought was pretty cool. Like a little mom and pop drugstore that they named Antibiotics. It was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get
little
it.
things.
It was
little
cool.
touches.
It's the little things, Especially with Obsidian. That's like what they do. And it's really cool. I really like it. And plus, I haven't played an Obsidian game in a really long time. And this looks like a winner. Especially when you have, guns and spaceships and beautiful colors that are not gray or brown. They have a larger range. And yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. It's probably years away, and you guys need to go and see the trailer because it looks awesome. But that's about all I have to say about it. I don't know how much.
Is it years
more.
away? Why do I have the feeling that it was supposed to be for 2019?
It might be for 2019, but I'm not expecting it like soon 2019.
Oh, no. I'm thinking end of year 2019.
Okay. Anyway, it's a long way.
It is a long way away. I do want to reach out to some of my even older gaming heads and talk about Obsidian's pedigree because Scorch mentioned Fallout New Vegas, which amazing. But I'm going to reach out to you KOTOR fans.
Oh yeah, I played that
Obsidian games. Knights of the Old Republic. Was it 1 or 2 or both?
No, it was not both. They gave it to.
So it was 2.
Yeah, it was the second one. BioWare did the first one.
Yeah. So KOTOR 2. So it has an extensive pedigree, and the trailer makes it look like it's pretty nice. And I will say, not that I was looking too hard, but your PC has got some junk in the trunk. I'm just saying. I looked at, they stood up, and I was like, what? This character's got booty.
Yeah. There ain't nothing wrong with that neither.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's the little things, guys. It's the little things that make me laugh.
Gorgeous.
But don't make the movie.
All right. So I'm going to take us into like another random announcement before we get to our last topic, and that random announcement came just a couple of days ago, and it was regarding Monster Hunter 2.
Is it called Monster Hunter 2, or it's like Monster Hunter World Expansion?
I'm sorry. It's the Monster Hunter World Expansion. I just typed out Monster Hunter 2 because I was in a rush.
You can't rush lists fast. You can't.
You're telling me. But a couple days ago, the Monster Hunter team came together and they released a really special developers update to kind of alert us of what's going on the horizon. The winter event is occurring right now, and during the event you can like get all the old stuff. They had a really cute trailer with a new like top hat and tails costume that you can get for your player characters, something new for Poogie, like a couple of new story quests that you can have there.
I forgot about Poogie!
I'm just saying.
Oh my goodness. Cunningham, I miss you.
Bacon bits. But so they had that thing right there. Then they made some other announcements that they were going to like made Cool Toroth is going to be an arc tempered like enemy, and they're doing the same thing for Nier Gigante. So they're just making the encounters a little bit more special, get more rewards, and they've increased the difficulty for the people who are still playing the game. And then when they got to the end of the announcement, they said that coming fall 2019, they're going to be releasing the Monster Hunter expansion. And they had a very lovely trailer for it. It's very brief, so I think the entire developers update was like 15 or 20 minutes. So if you cut down to like the 15th minute, then you'll be able to see all this detail. But they showed the Rathian like explode out of the tree line and then go crossing the ocean, dipping down into the waters towards a new continent or a new island that was covered in snow. And so I believe the expansion is going to be called Icefall.
Man, I can't wait to get into desert with a different color palette. It's going to be great. You did this to me, Mass Effect Andromeda. Why?
Look.
It hurts. Why did you do that to me?
If there is anyone who hates Frozen Worlds more than me, I'd like to meet you so we can have a drink together. However, I am actually... I have heard good things about Monster Hunter expansions. And so I'm really curious, with all of the great good monies that they received, how this DLC is going to look, feel, and launch. Because I think that they really, as a team, the Monster Hunter team, like, they set out with some goals, they exceeded those goals, they're super excited, and this has got to be another big moment for them. And I feel like as far as developing teams go, oh crap!
Uh-oh. Something happened to Vast.
Demons just came and attacked me. I've been web slinging for like the past hour and a half.
Spider-Man.
Yes, I've just been web slinging.
But you can't sling them bows.
No, I can't. I was just sitting there talking, and all of a sudden I look and demons spawned all around me. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, I feel like this team they kind of remind me of like the Final Fantasy team, in that they...
I don't know if that's a good analogy.
You don't even know which Final Fantasy team I'm talking about.
Well, the most recent one exploded in a giant ball of fire, and like the creative lead went off to do something else with like flaming middle fingers and all of that.
I'm talking about 14, sir.
Okay. All right.
I'm talking about 14, and that they look, Final Fantasy 14, because they have the subscription part of the service and everything like that, they have a really strong lead director and everything like that. But when they release new content, it is really good. And so it's really good. It's expansive. It brings everything that you want to the game. And I have a feeling that the Monster Hunter team will also deliver. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. They will deliver. Where some other studio teams, I'm just not,
Hey, throw some shade. Throw some shade. Who are you talking about?
You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, but...
I'm talking...
Say the words. Do the thing.
I'm talking about, like Bungie. Right now, they're not delivering.
Ah.
I'm talking about
There
Hello,
it is.
Let the hate flow through you.
I'm talking about Sea of Thieves. I think that they tried really hard, but I don't think they're delivering. And that's why the new game that was recently announced, like whatever it's called, something Atlas, not not Starlink Battle for Atlas, and not Cloud Atlas, but there's another Atlas out there. It's going to take all of their players. Like, there's a lot of studios that are putting stuff out recently, and they're not giving you a full gaming experience. Fallout 76.
Yeah.
And they are not delivering on the promise, which is bad.
Oh, it's totally bad.
It's real bad.
The problem is, and I don't know how many people are in the same boat as I am, and it's that I don't really have a desire to go back to Monster Hunter World. It's not a game that calls to me. It was cool. It scratched a certain itch when it came out. It was fun to be a part of that zeitgeist, but I don't feel like it's necessary for me to go back.
Well, and you know what? I think that's totally fair. I don't know if any of us are the gamer for that type of game. There are a couple of reasons I'd say that, but they wouldn't be like really fully fledged or well thought out when we can return to this later. And I don't mean that as an insult to us. I just don't think, I think that while we enjoyed it, I don't think we're like that game's core audience who will come back for it.
Yeah.
True.
I know people that are super psyched about it. It's just not me.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we have other games to be excited about.
Oh, yes, we do. We do indeed.
And so that brings us to Beyond Good and Evil 2.
They also had a stream about various cool things.
They had the fourth Space Monkey report, and as a loving space monkey, I checked in. I think Scorch, you checked in as well?
I did, but I only caught like the back 10 or 15 minutes of the stream, and I have yet to actually go back and watch the archive.
Well, I highly recommend, if you are interested in the game, if you are interested in story and world development like I am, I love world building. And I highly recommend that you go and you watch the beginning of the stream, because that's where they kind of took us through some of the background information for the game. And I actually have a very small list of things that I wanted to talk about, because it was good stuff. Master! It was good stuff.
List master!
I sent it to myself.
What are we doing, by the way, Arcadius? I've just been planning
to go down and start mining some cave.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. I got the list up, so I'm going to run through this, and then once I get to like that, past that halfway point, I'm sure Scorch can add some stuff.
I can.
But the first 15 or 20 minutes or so, they spent with the lead developer, and they had, I think, a community manager, and then like one of the lead of the writing team, and they talked about some of the background and the ideas and the lore, quote unquote, of the game. And they took some images from the trailers that they released, which are, if you haven't seen them yet, amazingly beautiful, gorgeous gameplay, not gameplay trailers, but game trailers. And they took out some specific stills, and they kind of referenced them. So one of the things that they showed us was an image of what looked kind of like a tuning fork or a goalpost if you're more sports inclined, and they named it as Moksha's Gate. You see it in the very first trailer. It's an image. It's blue, and like I said, it looks like a tuning fork. And they reference it as being a major stake in the universe. And like the questions are, where did it come from? What does it do? And who's going to control it? They also talked about how humanity managed to reach this system, the star system.
Did they name the star system?
I don't remember if they named the star system, but I know that they named the planet.
Okay.
Which was Deos. Or Dios.
Okay.
Dios mío.
And so the background for that is that, they were sending a colony of space explorers to come and settle this star system or this specific planet. And they carried with them a very limited number of DNA strands. And so those DNA strands were used to make clones and the human-animal hybrids that you play as in the game. And then they talked a little bit about what those different animal hybrids were supposed to represent, and they mentioned specifically, like, if you are a hybrid monkey, then that means that within the game, that class was built to be miners and to mine the other side of the planet.
Oh, yeah?
And so a central conceit of that game is within the trailer, you had, I can't even remember everyone's name right now, but you had like your cast of characters in that trailer. Well, your DNA will be represented, or you will be represented in the game with your own avatar, but it will come from one of those characters' DNA. So if you really like that really awesome black girl with the amazing hair, who was almost like the de facto captain of the ship, well, then there's a DNA strand, and you can build a character that is not her, but very similar to her. Or if you really liked the hybrid ape character, then you can take his DNA strand. And then they have like the lion DNA strand and the shark DNA strand and the pig DNA
shark.
Strand.
Oh yeah. So we're sharks.
And you can have male and female of both of those. And so they were trying to tie a little bit of the story into there, and they showed like, a bunch of different artwork that was some in-game and then some like just reference art for the different character classes. And they really kind of tried to hone in on like this is part of the identity that you're building in the story that they're building, that you as a character know that you were born and bred for one specific role in the universe, and the only way to break free of that is to become a space pirate. And that's how they bring in the customization, and why they're bringing in so many different customization options for you within the game, because they really want you to become someone completely unique and personalize that experience for yourself. So
yeah.
I thought that was really cool. They also gave you a little bit of information about like, I think I got this wrong. So there's a planet called Soma, and it orbits Deos, and that's where the sacred city of Ganesha is. One side of the planet is protected by Soma, I believe, and the other half is bombarded by asteroids, and those asteroids have like a very rare mineral, kind of like unobtainium or something, and that's what, the different hybrids are there for, and that's what the monkeys are mining, and the other animal-human hybrids are out over there doing. And they would drop some lore bombs, and I was like, dude, you guys are creating some really, really extreme living conditions for these people. But it was really cool. It was really, really cool. I think the material was called Light. Okay, so that was like all of the really interesting like lore and background stuff that they talked about, and then they brought in some work in progress gameplay demo, which is really cool. They had 2-player co-op going on. They demonstrated the 3 major abilities that you're going to have in the game, which was the gun, the sword, and the jetpack. They talked about very briefly about the different augments that you can use to kind of define your play style with the gun and the sword. And basically those are like different mods that you can do to them. Like you can have a freeze, you can have like a slow or a time dilation cone, and I'm sure they could have fire and chain lightning, like your standard stuff.
Yeah.
And that those augments can stack. Another thing that I noticed, or that they really harped on, is that at least in this level, as a co-op team, you do not have to stay together. And so they demonstrated it.
I saw this. This was really interesting.
This is really interesting. So they had like at least in this part, they may have had 2 or 3 different paths that you can go to get to the objective, right? But you did not have to go together. So one character took like the low route, the other character took the high route, and everything still happened on the main screen like in tandem with each other. Or synchronized with each other. Okay, and so that was like the microcosm of it.
Like cooperative in the true sense.
Yeah.
Like cooperative in the true sense. But this is the microcosm in it. Because they also talked about how seamless it is between you and the game.
Arcadius, you ready for your mind to be fucking blown by this?
Hit me.
You get your helmet on, dude. Get a helmet on.
Hold on.
So so it's seamless in that respect. And then they took one of the characters, and she left that encounter. She got into her ship and she flew off into space. The other character remained in the city and was traversing the city. And they were still in the same instance.
Huh?
Keep your brain together. Keep your brain together. Follow us on here. Follow us on this.
Scorch, take it away, because I'm not doing it justice.
Okay, so the way that they did it was that if you're in the same multiplayer game, you're always in the same instance, no matter if you are on foot in a city walking around, and also in a giant ship flying in a different part of the solar system. You're always in the same instance. You exist in the same space in the same world. And
wow.
What the literal heck? Yeah. And
this is gonna kind of suck because sometimes I am not the most directionally inclined in a video game. So if I get lost, I am SOL.
Well, don't worry. They gave you some really powerful binoculars that you can see your friends from fucking outer space down in. They give you space binoculars.
It's a spy glass.
Space binocs.
Oh yeah.
It's a spy glass, and they had that. They had the character on the ship.
I spy with my little eye in the cosmos next door. You.
Exactly.
Basically, she was on. So they brought the character out of the main ship, which was hovering outside of the atmosphere. It was in space. She came out, and they showed and they mentioned that the modeling effect over her was very rough, but when you come out of your ship, you'll have kind of like a clear, atmospheric suit that goes over your character so they can breathe in the atmosphere. She took out her spyglass, and then she zoomed in from space down to the city. And I think that you could see, it was very small, but you could see movement. You could see the different clouds and the ships moving in that instance.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? That was amazing. If that works at launch, what?
Okay, here's another thing you're going to need to double bag your brain for this one.
Oh my god.
Put a helmet.
I need a broom.
Put a helmet on your helmet
because
this is the thing that I had to get up and pace around my room because how the fuck did they do this? How the flying shit did they do this? Arcadius.
All right. I'm seated. I'm buckled.
Arcadius. They did not program a day-night cycle in cities where you are. They programmed a solar system and let it do its thing.
Oh my literal god.
Yep. Yes, they did.
What? They used the math thing and they did trigonometry and they actually planned how the day-night cycles work, not just all right, button, now night, now day.
Yeah.
And so what they did is they pulled the map back. They pulled the map back, and they showed the solar system.
Yeah.
And they showed the orbits.
Not that.
And they showed you on Deos orbiting within the other planets in the ring, and then they had the sun.
Yep.
Oh my god.
And that is creating the day-night cycle. What?
I can't.
I'm telling you guys, if this game is even just 60% of what they want,
Oh
still,
shit!
like,
Oh my god, there's a creeper over there. Sorry, man.
No,
Yeah, my mind is
even
not
if it's
safe,
only
by the way.
60% of what they want, it is amazing.
Yeah.
I can see why
Wow.
it's taken them this long to get into development, and why, like,
Yeah, because they had to use
at this point,
trigonometry to plan their day-night cycles.
and why at this point they're kind of, I'm sure they don't have free reign, but they are like, they are giving a lot of range to do what they want. So there must be some amazing proof. Well, I mean, I feel like I've already seen some proof of concept stuff, but they must have some other stuff that's just amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have to.
Not to mention all the community stuff that they're doing. They showed art that that have been that's already been placed in game from their hit record campaign. I think we talked a little bit about everything that's going on with the good and the bad. But right now, someone's artwork is in game in this demo that we saw, and it looked beautiful.
Yeah. They had geoglyphs up, right? That's the one that you're talking about?
Oh my god. No, I was talking about they showed an image of Mox's gate in the actual demo that we saw. But they did mention that they are using some community art to create the geoglyphs. So talk about that, because that was really cool to me too.
It was one of the things that they zoomed in on from the spyglass from orbit, is that a group of artists made geoglyphs and said, we would like this to appear on like a planet for planet art or something like that. And they just added it to their planet, and there's like fan-made geoglyphs on this planet that they zoomed into. And they said, what we did with these geoglyphs is that they are clues to hidden treasure that they
Yes.
are marked so that they're not just a thing that you can like fly by and say, huh, that's cool. There's actually a meaning to why they are there.
Oh my god. What?
So they zoomed, and so on Ganesha they zoomed down to this geoglyph, and they said they're going to be appearing on other continents and probably on other planets. And it was a giant like glyph of a monkey on the ground, like around the city. And they talked briefly about like, yeah, you'll use this geoglyph, it'll have different clues, and you'll be able to find like an entrance to like something where you'll find the treasure. So I don't know if that something is going to be like a dungeon or like a mini game or something like that, but yeah, this is what they're doing. This is what their team is doing for community fan art.
Yeah.
Space booty in full effect.
Booty.
Space booty.
Sewer shark space booty.
So the hype
the rabbit
train
hole
for
continues.
me in this game is 100% real, as evidenced by the fact that I've just slobbered and talked and everything for like a full 15 minutes. Probably bored you guys to tears. I don't care. This is stuff that I find interesting, and it is so cool to me, guys. It's so cool.
I am so very
Definitely
happy.
have spoken some ridiculous things.
Yeah.
That, if true, are truly impressive.
Truly. In the literal sense of the word impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Full effect.
Yes. Oh man. Oh man. The future is bright, you guys. The future is
I think
bright.
what you were
Future is
looking for
bright.
was, oh baby,
Oh baby.
oh baby.
Oh baby. That may be all of our topics that we have lined up for this podcast. We've been going for a while.
It was a catch-up
That is-
podcast, so there
It
was a lot.
was. And don't
There's a
worry, you guys. We're planning on doing this more often than once every 3 months. Okay?
Well, my move is done, so the relocation's already been set.
We had a lot of life happen, guys.
A lot of life happened.
There were things that were kind of beyond our control for a little while, all in our separate domains. But we're back, and we're going to be doing this more often. And I say that for effect, more often. And that's
Yes.
that's it.
That is the intention.
I guess we're signing off, guys. This has been the DerNami Gaming Podcast, episode 31. If you like what you heard, go ahead and follow us on our social media spaces. That's Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, which will see more activity in the new year because I'm convincing Scorch to come there and stream.
If we can do simultaneous stream, I'll be there.
Yeah, I think it'll be just better in general. And if you like what you hear, you want to get in touch with us, or you heard something that we got wrong, or you want to have a conversation, hit us up on Twitter, leave us a comment on YouTube, like it, rate it, subscribe. We want to build this base.
I think we're going to be starting some kind of like a cooking thing eventually.
Oh yeah. DerNami cooking, it's coming, guys.
Because I like to cook, and Vast wants to talk about me liking to cook, and I know that she likes to cook too, and it's just one of our shared interests, and I think it's going to be fun. And also, somebody in the chat, Paulo Alonso, says, "Can I say something real quick?" You certainly can.
You certainly can. Last time we checked, this is America.
The floor is open. Oh shit! What was it was creeper? Oh god, creeper! Oh! Okay. I'm alright.
Don't blow up home base.
I'm good. I'm far away from home base. I'm in Chasm.
Okay. Oh, you're in the dangerous area.
They went with an old Favy. I like trains. Thank you for your addendum. Alright, I think that is it. We'll see you another day. Adios.
Until next